So this is No 19, Steady Buildup Fury, Heavy Hitter, and Power Alternator. And as you can see, I'm fighting a Nick Fury who is the bane of my existence in Alliance War. I hate fighting him. I just took a special one. Thankfully I had an invuln boost. And this is where the recording stops. Turns out that when you're screen recording and you're in the middle of a fight and a phone call comes through, the screen recording just stops. And yes, I had Do Not Disturb on. Thankfully, the phone call wasn't urgent. It wasn't an emergency, so that's always cool. But in the middle of the fight, in an intense moment, the notification definitely threw me off. It ended the screen recording. And all I'm trying to do here is finish Nick off because he's got 2% left. Well, we'll get there eventually. Let's hit the rewind button, and I'll catch you at the start of this video. Hey everybody, welcome back for War number 8 of Season 29 of Alliance War. I'm fighting for the Alliance SAS, and for this war we are matched up against AGT-D, also known as Agent Diamond, one of the alliances of the giant Agent Alliance family. I believe they have 2 alliances that are at least in Plat 1 and Masters, the other one being AGT-G, AGT Graphite, so that's always cool. We're going to be desperate for a win here, as per usual. That's kind of the theme for the season. We've dug ourselves a hole in the first half, and we're trying to get back to a 500 record, and hopefully it starts here. So we have 8 fights lined up for us, 3 fights in Section 1 on Path 5, very similar to last war, and then we hop over to Path 1 in Section 2. We have a few new fights. We're going to be taking Warlock. There's a Man-Thing and an Overseer waiting for us, ending off Section 2 with a Venom on Buffet, and then our wars capped off with an Eye-Hulk and a Mr. Fantastic on the right side of Boss Island. Pretty similar war attack team for us here. We're bringing in Apocalypse. He's at rank 3, unduped still, taking on the first 3 fights of the war, Daredevil, Kingpin, and Nick Fury. Archangel is going to benefit from the Horseman mechanic later on in the war, taking on Venom and Mr. Fantastic. And Warlock rounds out the team. He's at rank 3, Sig 20. He's taking on Man-Thing, the Overseer, and Hulk on Mini-Boss Island. Always fun to bring Warlock into war. I don't have too much experience with him, but he's super fun to play. So kicking off the war, Node 2, Ebb and Flow knockdown, right back at it, Force of Will. This should be a pretty straightforward fight with Apocalypse. I don't have to worry about Daredevil purifying the stun debuff. I do have to keep in mind that once I knock him down to remove the protection, he will be debuff immune, meaning that my specials won't be hitting as hard just with the limited window of being able to throw my specials with the personal debuffs up. But regardless, no worries. This should be a pretty straightforward fight. I'm not too worried about this. I am going to throw on the combat regen, just knowing that I have Apoc for the next 2 fights after this, and he's got a really big health pool, especially when boosted, and anything I can do to kind of save potions there is welcome. Plus we have a bunch of these in the overflow, thankfully, so no complaints there. We'll get off to a pretty good start here. I am going to try and push him to the special tube just whenever I can. It's a lot easier to keep track of. It's only 3 hits versus the 433 hits that his special 1 seems to be. And as you can see, the fight's going pretty smoothly here. We are able to get our damage in, getting the Ebb and Flow knockdown protection off. And apart from that, it's just a matter of keeping our spacing, kind of keeping him against the wall, trying not to get cornered, and just baiting specials here and there. We do end up throwing the special 2. It's not going to do a ton of damage once one Apocalypse isn't ramped up, so don't have a ton of prowess there, and we also only stick 1 debuff for our specials, so we're not getting a ton of burst damage there, but that's all good. They'll get ramped up eventually. Just want to get through this first fight cleanly. End up trying to throw the special there, seeing if we can close it out. Fortunately, it's not enough, but we are close to kind of finishing the fight off with the last few combos there. And there we go. So there's our first fight. Pretty straightforward with Apocalypse there, not too much to worry about. We are moving on to the next fight, where it does keep the same kind of theme. It will be Ebb and Flow knockdown. A little bit easier though in this sense. There's just Heavy Hitter in addition. It is a Kingpin. Similar to Daredevil Hell's Kitchen, we don't have to worry about anything being purified. So the plan here, play normally, just bait the special 1, and I gotta keep in mind there's 2 layers of protection in terms of Unstoppable with this dude's heavy. 1, his natural kit, and then 2, it's also extended from Heavy Hitter, because I think normally if you're fighting a Kingpin not on Heavy Hitter, you actually can punish the heavy because the Unstoppable ends just before the animation is finished or before he's able to recover. However, with heavy hitter, I don't think that window is there. So trying to fight the habit of punishing his heavy here by just not doing that. And there we go. So the really good start to the fight there. He ends up throwing a special 1 pretty liberally. We don't have to worry about being cornered. And I'm going to try and get to my special 2 here just to see if I can pop off some damage and get a good chunk of damage in. And then after that, it'll be just a matter of dexing back and forth, trying to bait the special 1. That does a ton of damage there. I'm in a really good spot. We are only 20 hits in, and we have a good chunk of his health down. And thankfully, Kingpin here, he's been pretty aggressive with throwing his special 1s. I'm not sure why I didn't punish the special 1 there. Maybe I just wasn't confident with the rhythm and spacing there and I didn't want to get parried. But regardless, those debuffs are taken. We're getting some pretty good burst damage off the specials, and this fight goes a lot quicker than the last one. So there's our second fight. Pretty clean start so far. However, I was pretty stressed out about this Nick Fury. You could place Nick Fury anywhere on the map and I'll be super stressed out about it. This is no 19 steady build-up Fury, heavy hitter, power alternator. Same game plan as last war, just going to turtle up and try and push him to the special 2, because obviously that's a lot easier to dex out of the way. And then knowing that once he hits his second phase, it's going to be a lot tougher to find openings because he can't punish the heavy, and we're going to have to try and intercept. Now, it is a habit for me to put Do Not Disturb on for every fight, and I do so here. And I'll explain a little bit more later on as to what went wrong, since I alluded to that in the intro to the video here. But trying to get off to a good start here, we nail out first parry. I do have an invuln boost on. I think it's just a habit for me whenever I'm fighting Nick Fury. I'm going to have that on anyways, especially because it's really easy for him to go unblockable if he mismanages charges, which I tend to do. But at this point, I'm turtling up, just trying to get a parry, trying to push him to the special 2, hoping that this special will push him to his second bar of power, which it does. So this is a good start for us here. We're in a good spot. Haven't messed up yet. He's going to throw a special 2, making sure that I don't dex too early, which we do a good job of doing there. And I fire off my special just before Power Alternator comes through. I don't think it would have Power Gened though, but I'm just trying to close him off and trying to get the that second life going, because that's when the real fight starts. This fight, the first half should be pretty straightforward, and it looks like just one more reparry and one more combo should send him to his second life. I am going to push him to his second bar of power, and right here we're in a really good spot. We pushed him to his second life. He's at 2 bars of power. We can kind of turtle out, let the degen kind of tick him down. He throws his special 2 a little bit earlier than I would have liked, but that's okay. We're still in a good spot. Going to throw my special here just to see how much damage we can push through. So at this point here, I do have to intercept to get my opening, knowing that I won't have a special to throw. And unfortunately, he blocks that, pushing him to a bar of power. And this isn't an ideal spot. He throws a special 1. It's unblockable. I will be taking hits from the indestructible because it's unblockable. And so yeah, I got a call, and just to show you what happened here, this is a new phone for me. I got the 13 Pro Max about a week ago. Turns out that D&D, you actually have to set it so that nobody passes through the D&D. But not to worry, just to show how the fight ended, you could see he was at 2%. I ended up getting a few hits in, finishing him off there. So full attack bonus is achieved. No worries, we're moving on. A little bit of a scare there. This is Note 30, Vigor and Indomitable, Warlock versus Man-Thing. We were worried about Mystic Dispersion at level 5. Luckily for us, the Willpower Mastery was active for this defender. Did a few checks, just to be sure, and then it turns out at the start of the fight, it was pretty apparent that he's running Willpower. So managing this fight was a lot easier for us. I still do have an invuln boost just in case I end up pushing into the special 3. But this is my first time taking this matchup here. I don't think I've ever fought a Man-Thing with Warlock. So I'm kind of just taking it slowly here, trying to feel out the rhythm of the fight, trying to figure out how best to approach it. Now that I figured out that he does have willpower, I know that it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of manage. However, the pustules, when they expire, they are going to end up pushing him, feeding his power pretty much constantly throughout the fight. And I'm not sure if it was better to throw the special 1 there right at the start, but as you can see, I'm not going to bother with the special 2. I'm going to end up holding 3 bars of power here. Just taking a look at the health pools here, I am taking a decent amount of chip damage just from blocking a bunch of hits, but I'm really happy with our spacing here. Just having him against the wall, he hasn't threatened that 3rd bar of power yet. We do come close there, and I think If he didn't throw the special 2 there, I was going to pop the special 3 just as the emergency kind of power drain. And once I see his power kind of shoot up there, I decide it's time to throw the special 3. But I don't really like the way that this game plan is kind of going here. As you can see, I'm taking a decent amount of chip damage, and I'm not doing that much of a dent into his willpower in relative to my health bar. So I'm going to try a bunch of special 1s now. As you can see, the power drain from the special 3 was really nice there, kind of reset the fight. And I'm going to start to look for openings just to fire off my special 1 and see if that's going to help with managing his power a little bit better there. And I think that's the right way to go. That's probably the way I should have started the fight, rather than kind of holding that special 3 for so long. It just augments my DPS and kind of makes the fight go a little bit quicker, meaning less chip damage, and also just less fight time if we end up tying. Because the way I approached this fight at the start, I pretty much punted our fight time into the trash, but that's all good. We are pretty confident with where we are right now in the fight, just firing off the special 1, kind of cycling through, trying to keep up pressure against the wall. I do end up missing a few parries there. That's not ideal. It makes me Dex, which ends up fueling Mystic Dispersion, which I'm assuming is level 5 here, considering the amount of power that he's constantly gaining throughout the fight. But we are close. We're in the red zone here. We just need to finish with a few combos here. I'm assuming once I get to my special 1, that should be enough to finish the fight or put him really, really close to the end of the fight. He is fighting a regen a little bit. I am struggling to stick my infections near the end of the fight. Obviously, part of that is removing the infections from the special 1. But just trying to stay patient here and not slip up near the end and give away control of the fight. And there we go. We do end up finishing the Man-Thing there. That's a fight that I'm going to have to take a look at more in depth once I have more time. I definitely didn't approach that correctly or as efficiently as I could have. Regardless, I am grateful that we got through with all 3 attack bonuses. So moving on to Node 40. This is Buffet 15% plus Indomitable. This is Warlock against the Overseer, one of the newer defenders. And I was a little bit worried for this one. I just wasn't as familiar with fighting the Overseer. Spent some time taking a look at his kit, and fortunately for us, the Willpower Mastery is active, and the most important part of this fight is just understanding the heavy spacing, because he will go stun immune the moment he throws the special 1, and he does have the auto block ability similar to Medusa, so I can't really basic combo him once he throws that special 1. So the plan is to kind of just parry heavy at the start, try and stick an infection, and then once he throws that special 1, I can punish with my own heavy. I think I may try it here, like so, and knowing that he is going to be stun immune for a little bit. So I can either bait heavies, like I do here, counter with my own heavy. You can see the bleed's doing a decent amount of damage there, plus we have the constant degen from our SIG ability. I do have a 200% power boost, knowing that I am going to be able to get to my special 2 without the fear of it being auto-blocked. So I'm going to gain a decent chunk of power there, and we're in a really good position here. Tons of health to work with, tons of control with our spacing, and there we go. All it does, it takes 1 more special 2, and that finishes the fight. So really glad with how that went. I thought my execution there was really, really clean, especially considering I don't think I approached the Man-Thing fight as well as I should have. So it was really good to kind of rebound and get through this one cleanly according to game plan, setting ourselves up for our last fight in Section 2, which is a Venom on Node 46, Strike Counter, Outlast Buffet, and Chitinous Thorns. Alright, Apocalypse is ramped up. He's at 4 charges from taking 3 fights in Section 1, so we do have the ability to make Archangel a Horseman, which I'm absolutely going to do. It is critical to the fight here, considering Chitinous Thorns is active, and we do need an ability to mitigate the bleed damage. So, we are 100% resistant to bleed here, and we're in a good spot here. All we have to do is parry heavy, kind of seal out the fight from there. We have a bunch of neurotoxins kind of melting him down. Just got to not miss my parries. I did so there, so I did a good job of kind of backing away. Do have to keep an eye out in case we push into a special 2, but as you can see, the fight's going strong enough that we don't actually have to worry about that. So there's our Section 2 done. We are moving on to Section 3. Waiting for us in Section 3 are our last 2 fights on Boss Island. The first one being a Hulk Immortal. He's on Node 50, Recovery, Safeguard, Indomitable, and Vigorous Assault, so a bit of an extended fight with the Recovery and the Safeguard. Don't have to worry about Vigorous Assault so much because there is no active regeneration buff on Immortal Hulk, so no need to worry about him going unblockable throughout the fight, apart from his normal unblockable while he's immortal. So we do know that the Willpower Mastery is active, so I am going to be able to gain control of the fight that way. So the plan now is to essentially just parry heavy, let the bleeds kind of do their damage, kind of soak through the safeguard, as well as help fuel willpower, letting me control his power. So all according to plan here, we nail our first few parries and get off a few heavies. You can see those bleeds are starting to do a little bit of work there, kind of melting his health down, in pair with the degeneration passive from our signature ability. So we're off to a pretty good start. This is exactly how we wanted the fight to go. We're okay dexing his special 1. It's just kind of a leap forward and then just a few wild swings that you can just easily get out of the way of. And as long as we keep him cornered here, we're in a good spot. I do think that chaining heavies, I guess in hindsight, is pretty reckless. There's no real need to do that, especially considering we have a ton of control over the fight already. And you'll see why in a little bit. But regardless, we're doing a good job of keeping him kind of cornered. If he throws a special 1, that's all good, no worries. But you can see kind of our power control is definitely playing a part. He's not getting anywhere more than a just over his first bar of power. So just have to keep this rhythm of the fight up, and then understand that there is a chance for him to go unblockable and immortal once he hits 0 health. I do have 5 points in the Assassin Mastery just to see if we can kind of cheese our way past that point. But regardless, it's still pretty low threat. We can just get out of the way, and there he resists my heavy. And at that point, I'm like, nope, 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 abort. I'm not doing that ever again. I'm just going to stick to 1 heavy regardless of where he is against the wall. I don't want to end up getting parried and getting comboed into oblivion, because I do feel like this fight can snowball pretty quickly if iHulk gets the right kind of combo on you. You never know, and especially considering I have so much control over the fight right now as it is, there's no need for me to take any additional risks. So that's the last time I chain a heavy after another heavy. Stupid stand your ground mastery. But we're in a good spot here regardless. We were able to kind of bail out of the way. No harm done, no consequences, thankfully. He is at 44 charges, so he is going to he's going to regen a bunch at the end if we don't stick our heal block on him, but he goes immortal here. I'm just going to block hit, trying to keep the infection up, waiting for it to end. But unfortunately, I think he's going to end up going immortal again, just because of the amount of gamma charges or radiation that he had. I missed that. I end up throwing my special 3 thinking it's going to finish him, but it won't. He is immortal right now, but that's all good. We're still in a good spot. This immortal is going to it's going to tick down eventually, and he should end up being KO'd once this is done. So we're okay to punish. We have an infection up, and there we go. He ends up dropping. So a little bit of a misstep at the end there. Thankfully, there wasn't much of a consequence, so something for me to keep an eye on in the future. Just take a quick glance at how many charges that he does have when he first enters Immortal, just knowing what'll come after. But here's our last fight, Node 55, Best Defense, Brute Force, Spry, and Limber. This is Mr. Fantastic. We do have the benefit of a guidance boost from Magneto House of X from Krim. He was able to hook me up there. So once that's on, a pretty straightforward fight. Just have to rely on parry heavy win. Good old bread and butter. Brute Force may play a part in the fight, just depending on how aggressive the AI is and where we are with his power, but I'm not going to let that panic. Hopefully by that point we should have a bunch of neurotoxins kind of rolling, and we'll let them do its work. We don't need Archangel for any other fights here, so there's no need to panic and kind of change the fight, do something drastic, and end up having it snowball from there. There we go, we get our 3rd neurotoxin. We're able to dex out of the way of his first special 1, and at this point I know the fight's over. We get a reparry, so we do have another poison to work with, see if we can surpass 5 neurotoxins, and there we go. So I know that this fight is pretty much over. I think we'll parry heavy one more time, and then we'll just back away. We can bait out this special 1 if we need to. Doesn't look like we need to, and those neurotoxins finish him off. So there's our 8th fight of the war. Really glad to end off on this one. This is a really straightforward fight. Really happy with the way we played most of our Warlock fights. Obviously, we could have changed our tactics against the man thing, but we do end up coming away with a win here. The final score being 23-10. I think that's a little bit inflated because their BG1 ended up starting their attack cycle really late, probably for time zone issues. And I think at that point the fight was already in the bag, so that's my explanation for the inflated score. I'm not actually sure what happened, but regardless, we're going to take the win anyways with no complaints. We are 4-4. Pretty good spot to be in, considering we were 1-4 after War 5. So hopefully we can keep building. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you for War number 9.